keep having the same dream. I'm standing in the hallway. It's hours, but wrong. Too long. Too quiet. The light above me buzzes, like it's thinking about going out. At the far end, there's always a clown, but it's never the same one. I can't tell you what they look like. I never remember. Just the way they move. They all crawl, slowly, carefully, like they don't want to wake the house. Some nights they come faster. Some nights they wait. Once, one stayed perfectly still until I blinked, and then it was halfway down the hall. I never leave. I can't. My feet feel stuck, like the floor's holding them down. They don't speak. They don't make a sound, just the quiet dragging of something getting closer. The hallway never changes. The light never turns off. But the clown is always different, and every time, it gets a little closer. Last night, I woke up just before it reached the rug in front of me. Tonight, I think it'll reach the edge of my toes. I wish I knew what happens after that, but I don't think I'll be able to wake up in time to find out.
My best friend Sam was at school with me yesterday. He brought his weird alien eraser and traded half his fruit snacks for my red crayon. The good red. The one that makes fire trucks look real. We always walk home together. Always. But yesterday, he stopped right before the woods and said, "I dare you to go in." I said no, but he was already smiling, that grin he does when he's about to do something dumb. He stepped in, like 2 feet. I laughed and shouted, "Okay, you in. Come out now." He didn't. I ran in after him, but all I found was his backpack. It was just lying there, open. Fruit snack wrapper still's inside. I told the teacher. I told my mom. Everyone said, "Are you sure he came to school yesterday?" They looked at me weird. One kid even said, "Who's Sam?" But I have the crayon he gave me. It still smells like his backpack. And last night I heard tapping on my window. 4 times, slow and soft, like fingers. I don't think Sam's gone. I think he wants me to come back to the woods. And I think next time I might.
It started the night the thunderstorm knocked the power out. I was staying at my dad's for the summer. His house backs up to the woods, the kind that swallows light even during the day. From the bedroom window, I could see one tree that stood taller than the rest, dead-looking, black bark. It always gave me a weird feeling, like it was waiting for something. That night, I woke up to a creak. Not the house, not the wind. I looked out the window. There was a man standing in the tree, wedged between the branches, arms pressed to his sides, face turned straight toward me, not moving, not blinking, just watching. I ran to wake my dad, but he was already up, staring out his own window, pale, quiet. "Don't look at him," he said. "If you look too long, he knows." The next night, the man was closer. Not in the tall tree anymore. He was in the smaller one, halfway to the house. Same posture, same stare. No flashlight touched him. He was always in the shadows, even when everything else was lit. By the 4th night, he was in the tree right outside my window. I didn't sleep. I just stared at the wall until morning. I told Dad we had to leave. He just said, "It's too late. You saw him." Last night, the tree was empty, but the closet door creaked open, and I swear I saw bark on the floor. He's not in the tree anymore. He's inside the house.
Everyone told me it would just be a checkup. "No big deal," my mom said, as she ruffled my hair and pushed open the glass door to Dr. Granger's dental office. But something felt off the second we stepped inside. The waiting room was too quiet. No music, no magazines, just a ticking clock that seemed to echo in my ears. The receptionist didn't look up. She just slid a clipboard toward me without blinking. "Room 3, she whispered. Her lips barely moved. Mom stayed in the waiting room. "You're a big guy now," she smiled, but her fingers trembled as she waved me off. Dr. Granger was waiting inside, tall, pale, and impossibly thin, like someone stretched him out. His eyes didn't match. One was too dark, the other cloudy and gray. He didn't say hi, just nodded and pointed to the chair. I sat. The leather was sticky, not from sweat, something else. "You've got decay," he muttered, clicking on the overhead light. "Deep, deeper than most. But I don't feel..." He shoved the mask over his face and pulled down a tray of tools. Not shiny silver like you'd expect. These were black, old, rusted at the edges. "I don't use anesthesia," he said. "It dulls the extraction." I tried to get up, but the chair held me tight. Straps whipped around my wrists and ankles, like they had a life of their own. The drill started, but it didn't sound like a machine. It sounded like screaming. "No cavities," he whispered, lowering it toward my open mouth. "Just doors. I'm still here in room 3. If you listen close, you'll hear the drill behind the walls, still opening doors, still screaming."
The party was over. Everyone else had gone home except me and my mom. She was talking to the workers near the front. I wandered back to the ball pit. It looked different when it was empty. Still, like a pond with no wind. I slid in, slowly, the balls squeaking and shifting around me. I didn't dive. I just sat there. Then the middle started to move. At first, I thought maybe someone had fallen asleep under the balls, but then he stood up. A man. Not a worker. Not a dad. Just a man, rising straight up like he'd been hiding there all along. His clothes were clean. His hair was short. Everything about him looked normal except the way he smiled. Too wide, too long. Like he'd been practicing in a mirror, but never got it quite right. He looked right at me with that smile. Not friendly, not mean, just knowing. Then he stepped out, carefully, like he didn't want to make noise. He walked across the mats and into the hallway near the bathrooms. No one else saw him. I sat there, not moving, barely breathing. Because the way he looked at me, it felt like he recognized me, like he'd been waiting for me to come back, and smiling because this time I did. I used to play in the woods behind our house. It felt like they belonged to me, my own secret kingdom with mossy forts and stick swords. Then a few weeks ago, I saw the first eye. It was on the side of a tree, not like a knot or bark pattern, an actual eye, wet, round, and too human. It blinked at me. I thought I imagined it. I even laughed and poked it with a stick. It just stared. The next day, there were more. Dozens. Some high in the branches, some right at eye level, all watching me. None of them ever closed, unless I got too close. Then they'd vanish, like they sank into the bark. I told my mom, and she said I was creative. I told my brother, and he said, "Cool creepypasta, bro." But it wasn't fake. The trees have faces now. Not full ones, just pieces, eyes, sometimes mouths, twisted into smiles that never move. When I try to run, the path changes. Trees I've never seen before show up in the way. One time I tripped, and I swear I felt something grab my ankle, like a root with fingers. Yesterday, I stayed too long. The sun dipped behind the trees and everything got quiet. No wind, no bugs, just breathing. Slow and heavy, coming from all around me. I didn't see the eyes. I saw what was behind them. Tall shapes, growing out of the trees, but not part of them. Like something was using the trunks as suits. One of them stepped forward, and the bark cracked like it was splitting open. It didn't speak, but in my head, I heard, "You shouldn't look back so often." I ran. I didn't stop until I was home, covered in scratches and sap. Now at night, I hear creaking outside my window. Sometimes I see an eye between the leaves, always the same color, always watching. I shut the blinds, but it doesn't matter. I dream of bark and splinters and long-reaching arms. The woods are still there, and I think they're waiting for me to come back. Mom says never take the alley behind the laundromat. Too many weirdos, she said. Stick to the sidewalk. But I was late walking home, and the alley cuts the time in half. I figured it'd be fine if I just walked fast. About halfway through, I saw him. A man, standing completely still between two dumpsters. His coat hung low, almost to the ground. It looked soaked, like he'd just come out of a swamp. He was smiling, not like a friendly smile, more More like a mask someone forgot to take off, white and tight, with way too many teeth. But his eyes were the worst part. Huge, round, like someone glued doll eyes onto his face. They didn't blink, didn't move, just stared right at me, even when I tried to walk past without looking. "Hey kid," he said. His voice was scratchy and quiet, but his mouth didn't move. I froze. "I used to be a little like you," he said. Then I stretched, and his neck actually did. It made a sound like rope being pulled too tight. I ran, didn't scream, didn't breathe, just ran. I didn't look back until I was out on the street again. He wasn't behind me, but I don't think I lost him, because now, every night around 3 a.m., I see someone standing outside my window, coat dripping, eyes huge, smile still there, and every time, he's just a little bit closer.
I woke up and couldn't move, not even a finger. At first, I thought I was dreaming, but I could feel the sheets under me. I could see the moonlight on the wall. Everything was normal, except me. I was stuck. Then I noticed the doorway. There was a man standing there, not walking, not breathing, just standing. His head was tilted way too far to the side, like it was hanging from a string. His arms were long, almost touching the floor. I wanted to scream for my mom, but my mouth wouldn't open. My chest felt like someone had stacked bricks on it. I tried to close my eyes, but they wouldn't shut. All I could do was stare at him. He took one step into my room, then another. His legs didn't bend right. They jerked, like he was being pulled forward by invisible hands. When he got close to my bed, I heard him whisper, "I've been waiting for you to wake up." His face leaned over mine, except he didn't have a face, just skin where his eyes and mouth should have been, like clay that was never finished. I wanted to cry. I wanted to scream. Then I blinked, and he vanished. I could move again. But the weirdest part, when I ran to Mom's room, she said she heard footsteps in the hallway, and I sleep with my door closed.
I woke up because the door clicked. It wasn't loud, just soft, like someone trying not to wake you, but doing it anyway. I sat up. The hallway light was on, and Mom was standing in the doorway. She didn't say anything. She just looked at me, smiling, not blinking. Then she closed the door. I waited, confused. I almost called out, but before I could, the door opened again. Same light, same smile, same wide eyes that didn't blink. She didn't come in. She didn't speak. She just looked at me again, exactly the same, then closed the door. It happened again and again, always the same. The smile, the stare, the door slowly shutting. No footsteps, no sound, just the click, the open, the look, the close. I don't know how many times. I lost count. My clock won't change. It still says 2:17. I tried to get up once, but the floor creaked and she opened the door mid-step. Same smile, same stare, but her head tilted just a little, like she knew. Now I just sit here, waiting. She's going to open it again. I know it. And I'm starting to wonder if that's even my mom.
Our basement light has always flickered, but not in the scary way, just in the old house kind of way. Mom says the wiring's bad, and Dad keeps saying he'll fix it, but he never does. Last week, we had a storm, the kind that makes the windows rattle and the dog hide under the bed. The power went out for a while, and when it came back, the basement light was already on. That's what scared me, because no one had gone down there. I asked Mom if she left it on. She said no. Dad said I was just being dramatic, but I hadn't even told them the weird part yet. The light wasn't flickering anymore. It was steady, bright. I couldn't stop thinking about it, so that night, I snuck downstairs. I stood at the top of the basement steps. Everything was quiet, too quiet, like the air forgot how to move. Then I heard it. Not footsteps, not talking. Breathing. Slow, like someone was trying not to be heard. But they were right under the light, right at the bottom of the stairs. I didn't move, didn't blink. Then the light flickered once, and stopped, but the breathing didn't. I woke up, but I couldn't move. That's how it always starts. I can see my room, my bookshelf, the cracked door, the nightlight barely glowing, but my arms feel like they're under stone. And then I see him. He's standing in the far corner, darker than the dark, like he's soaking in the shadows. At first he doesn't move. He just stands there like a coat rack with legs. No breathing, no blinking. Then he walks, slow, like he's not in a hurry at all. I want to scream for Mom, but my mouth won't work. I try to blink, but my eyes are wide open. He gets closer. I can hear the floor creak, but no sound from him. When he reaches the side of my bed, I finally see his face. It's not angry, not sad. He has no expression at all. Just two glowing red eyes. Not like fire, more like when you close your eyes too tight and see red behind your eyelids. Empty and buzzing. He leans down slowly, his face right next to mine. I think he's going to speak, but he doesn't. He just stares, and I still can't move, and I still can't breathe, and I still can't wake up.
The first night, I heard someone knock. I thought it was Mom, but when I opened the door, she wasn't there. At the end of the hallway stood a woman. She was so tall, her head had to bend sideways to fit under the ceiling. Her hair touched the floor, and her arms hung low, almost to her feet. She didn't speak. She just smiled, like her face had forgotten how to stop. I shut the door and hid under my blanket. The next night, I didn't open the door, but I could hear her breathing just outside. Last night, I woke up and she was inside, standing in the corner, smiling. She raised one hand and waved, slow and crooked. "May I come in now?" she asked. I didn't say anything. This morning, there was a long black hair on my pillow, and the door was open. I wasn't supposed to go past the creek. Mom said the woods weren't safe over there, like they didn't belong to people anymore. But my soccer ball bounced through the tall grass and disappeared, and I couldn't leave it, so I crossed. The trees looked older on this side, taller, like they'd been watching for longer. Then I saw something between the trunks, pale skin, bent legs. It was a man, no shirt, no shoes, crouched low on all fours. He wasn't moving, just staring at the ground like he was listening to it. His back was covered in mud and scratches. His head lifted slowly, and then he smiled. His eyes were wide, too wide. His teeth were showing, and he smiled like someone pretending to be human, like he didn't quite get how. I didn't move. I couldn't. My legs were stuck like stone. Then he twitched. One hand crept forward, his head tilted sideways. The smile didn't move, and he lunged. He didn't run like people run. His limbs hit the ground too fast, too hard, too loud. He galloped. I screamed and turned, tripping on roots and rocks, branches tearing at my arms. I didn't look back. I didn't need to. I could hear him behind me, that rhythm of bare hands and feet slapping earth too fast. The creek came into view. I jumped it, scraped my knee, rolled onto our side. Then silence. When I looked back, he was standing just beyond the water, still on all fours, still smiling. He doesn't cross the creek, not yet, but every day I see drag marks in the dirt, closer to the edge, and I haven't played outside since. Lately, my parents have been weird. Not like fighting or anything, just off, like they're pretending to be themselves. It started with dinner. My mom made spaghetti, but it tasted like metal. I said something, and she smiled too wide, like she was waiting to see if I'd notice. My dad kept calling me Buddy, which he never does. He always calls me Champ. I asked why he changed it, and he just blinked and said, "That's what I've always called you, right, Champ?" They both laughed at the same time, same pitch, like a laugh track. That night, I heard whispering through the fence, not talking, whispering, like practicing lines. I wrote a note and slipped it under my bed, just in case something happened, It says, "These aren't my real parents." This morning, they both wore matching outfits. Same shirt, same socks. They said we're going on a family trip, but they packed nothing, just stood by the door and smiled. And I swear I heard my mom whisper, "Let's try again with this one."
I was brushing my teeth when I saw him. Across the street, in the window of the old yellow house, a man was standing perfectly still. His house was dark except for one light behind him, red like a brake light or heater, but it lit him up just enough. His face didn't move. He was bald, or maybe his head was just smooth like wax. His hands were pressed flat against the glass. At first, I thought he was looking at the road, but then I realized his head was tilted slightly toward me. I turned off the bathroom light just to check. Still there. I backed away from the window, but I didn't break eye contact. I whispered for Dad. No answer. I looked back. He was gone. But the red light in the house, still on. And in my reflection, in the bathroom mirror, something behind me started to glow red too. This happened 2 nights ago. I wasn't going to post about it, but it's still messing with me, and I need to write it down. I live alone in a small 1-bedroom apartment. It's in a pretty quiet building with thick walls. I've never had issues with noise or anything really. I'm cautious, borderline paranoid. I lock my door religiously, even if I'm just running to the trash chute. Anyway, I woke up at 3:42 a.m. to the sound of my front door clicking open. Not creaking, not being broken into, just opening. I laid there frozen. I knew I had locked it. I know I did. I always double-check before bed. I didn't hear footsteps or rustling, just the door open, then silence. I waited, holding my breath, for what felt like an hour. Eventually, I got up and crept into the hallway with my phone flashlight. The door was closed, locked. I checked the app for my smart lock. It showed the door had been unlocked at 3:42 a.m. No notification before that. No one had a key. No auto unlock. Just that one log. Unlocked. 3:42 a.m. Then nothing. I deleted the app. Haven't slept since.
I found the theater on the way home from school. It was hidden behind a fence, old and crumbling, the kind of place grown-ups told you to stay away from. But the front doors were open just enough to slip through. Inside, it smelled like dust and old wood, and the air felt too still, like the building was holding its breath. The seats were all empty, facing a stage that looked like no one had stood on it in years. That's when I saw him. He stepped into the light slowly, pale white face, no eyebrows, bald like a baby. He was dressed in black from his neck to his shoes. No music played, but he started dancing. Fast, jerky movements. His arms twitched, legs kicked, head twisted. It didn't look like a real dance. It looked broken, like a puppet being shaken too hard. I wanted to move, to run, but I couldn't. He turned his head toward me mid-spin without slowing down. His face never changed. No smile, no frown. Just those blank round eyes watching me while his body kept glitching. Then, all at once, he stopped, and the lights on stage went out.
Last night, I lost a tooth. Mom said to put it under my pillow for the tooth fairy. I did, like always. But when I woke up, the tooth was still there. Only it wasn't mine anymore. It was bigger, longer, sharp at the end, like it came from something that big. I ran to Mom's room, but she wasn't in bed. Just her slippers on the floor, and a single tooth, hers, on the pillow. I checked the hallway. More teeth, leading downstairs. Some tiny, some cracked. Some looked chewed. At the bottom step was a note, scratched in shaky pencil. Give it back. She took the wrong one. Then I heard her fluttering wings in the dark. Not soft like a bird's. Hard, bone wings. She's still in the house, and I think she's looking for another tooth. Mine. I woke up because someone was crying outside my window. Not regular crying. Not like a baby, or even like my little sister when she gets hurt. This was long, stretched out wailing, like someone had been crying for hours and forgot how to stop. It was past midnight. I checked my clock, 12:47 a.m. The sound didn't get louder or quieter, just stayed the same, like it was stuck in the air. Like fog, but noise. I peeked through the blinds. The street was empty. No cars, no people, no wind. But I swear I saw a shape standing just at the edge of the porch light. Not moving, just waiting. I couldn't see a face, just the shape of someone slumped forward, mouth open, still wailing. I blinked, and it was gone. The sound stopped too, like someone hit mute. I didn't sleep the rest of the night. My mom said I was dreaming, but the next morning, there were footprints in the grass under my window. Bare feet, deep, like whoever it was had been standing there a long time. And by the front door, a single wet handprint on the glass, like it had tried to come inside.
I used to love clowns, like birthday party, face paint, balloon animal kind of love. Then one night, I woke up to squeaking. Not loud, but close, like someone twisting balloons real slow. I looked toward my closet. There was a clown standing there, not smiling, just staring. His makeup looked smudged, like he'd been crying or trying to wipe it off but couldn't. His costume was the same color as the one from my 5th birthday party, but I was 9 now. We'd thrown that costume away. I pulled the covers over my face and told myself it was a dream. In the morning, he was gone. Closet empty, but every now and then, when I hear rubber shoes on the school floor or smell old makeup and sugar, my stomach flips, because before he vanished, the clown held up one hand, and he waved goodbye, like he'd see me again soon. It started with the man in the window across the street. He'd stand there at night in the 2nd floor apartment, perfectly still, not moving, not blinking, just looking straight out, like he was waiting for something to happen. My bedroom window faced his. One night, I waved just to see what he'd do. He didn't wave back, but the next night, he was closer, not across the street, in my window, on the other side of the glass. I didn't hear him climb up. I didn't see him move. He was just there, like he'd always been part of the house. He didn't try to get in. He didn't even touch the glass. He just stood there and stared at me, the way people stare at paintings they don't understand. I told my parents. They said that apartment's been empty for 10 years.
I don't know how long I've been in this neighborhood. It looks like the one I grew up in, but quieter, colder. No cars, no birds. The sky always looks like it's about to rain, but never does. I knock on doors sometimes, hoping someone will help me find my parents. Most of the houses are empty, but sometimes someone answers. They always look almost right, like a cousin I forgot or a neighbor from a long time ago. They smile too long and ask if I'm sure I'm not home already. Last night I looked in a window and saw my family eating dinner, laughing, or was it crying? I couldn't tell. My chair was empty. I knocked, but they didn't hear me. This morning, the house was gone.
As I walked home from school, it started following me. It never made a sound, but the air behind me felt too heavy, like something was filling up the space where I used to feel alone. At first, I thought it was my imagination. But the longer I walked, the more I knew something was definitely there. I started running, the world went too quiet. I didn't look back. I didn't want to know what shape it was. When I finally saw my house, I sprinted to the porch, but stopped before touching the door. The lights were on, but they didn't feel real. They looked like someone had painted them there. It's still quiet now. Too quiet. I think if I open the door, I'll let it in. And if I turn around, I think it's already reaching for me.
When I opened my eyes, I thought they were still closed. It was completely dark. No ceiling, no glow from the hallway, nothing. A deep blackness. I reached out for my blanket, but there was nothing there. Just cold air and something like metal under my fingers. I called for my mom, then for my dad. No answer. I stood up and took a step, and the sound echoed like I was in a giant empty room, but I couldn't tell which way was forward. Then I heard a voice. Not close, not loud, just floating somewhere in the dark. It said, "You're the last one to wake up." I whispered, "Where am I?" It replied, "Nowhere. For now." Then something brushed past my arm. Not a hand, not fur, something smooth and dull. And I wasn't cold anymore. Just very, very still.
There's this gas station we pass every Sunday after church. It's half abandoned, with flickering lights and one pump that still works. My dad never stops there, but once, when we were low on gas, he pulled in. While he filled the tank, I went to the side of the building to throw something away. That's when I saw him, a man standing perfectly still behind the dumpster. He was tall, not blinking, and his face was wrong. Not scary, just slightly off, like it wasn't built by someone who really understood people. His eyes were too wide, and he smiled without moving his mouth. I said, "Hi," even though I didn't want to, and he tilted his head, just once, like he recognized me. I ran back to the car. My dad asked why I was pale. When I pointed back toward the dumpster, there was no one there. As we drove away, I looked out the window. The man was standing in the middle of the road behind us, watching the car drive off, still smiling.
I was sleeping over at my cousin's house, and we were camped out in his basement. Around 2 a.m., I woke up to whispering. At first, I thought it was him, but he was snoring. The whispering kept going. It was super soft, like it was coming from the wall. I pressed my ear to it, and I swear I heard someone say, "Come back down here." I froze. Thing is, we were already in the basement. I didn't sleep the rest of the night. Next morning, I told his mom. She just looked at me weird and said, "You heard that too?" Then she got real quiet and added, "We sealed off the old coal chute last summer, but sometimes at night, it sounds like someone's still down there." She didn't say anything else. She just made us sleep upstairs after that. I never liked the locker hallway at the back of school. It smelled like wet books, and that's where the 8th graders always messed with me. Last Friday, they shoved me into a janitor's closet and locked the door. It was pitch black. I started pounding on the door until I heard breathing behind me. Slow, deep, close. I froze and whispered, "Who's there?" The breathing stopped. Then something whispered back. Finally, someone new. I screamed until they let me out, laughing like it was the funniest thing ever. But when I turned to yell at them, they were already gone, and the door was still open. The next day, one of those 8th graders didn't show up to school, and his locker, it was open and breathing.
There's a mirror at the end of the hallway near the art room. It's old, like weirdly old, and no one ever uses it. You barely notice it's even there unless you're walking alone. One time after staying late for a group project, I passed it on the way to my locker. I glanced at my reflection, and I wasn't blinking. I stopped walking. My reflection smiled, but I didn't. Then it turned and walked away, inside the mirror. I stood there, frozen, until the janitor came around the corner and asked if I was okay. When I pointed to the mirror, it was normal again. But that night, I kept waking up, not from a dream, just waking, like something was waiting for me to open my eyes. At 3:17 a.m., I saw myself standing in the hallway outside my bedroom door. Just standing, not blinking,